We will now continue to part 2 of this presentation. After selecting which species you will plant, there are several more important steps to follow, several of which were covered in Module 3. These steps are for situations when you are not renovating an existing turf area. In Module 3, you learned about the importance of soils for a successful roadside establishment. The first step in this seeding process is to take a soil test and get analysis from a reputable soil testing laboratory. The soil test will tell you what needs to be done to your soil prior to seeding. The second step is to prepare the site. This will include removing existing vegetation such as weeds and then tilling the top few inches of soil to prepare the seed bed. When tilling the site, as is being done here, it is important not to till too deeply. Deep tillage can bury the topsoil that is vital for turfgrass growth and development. Amending the soil, step 3, involves the addition of more topsoil, nutrients, compost, or materials such as lime to raise the pH. Amendments often need to be incorporated into the top 6 inches of the soil. The label on this slide describes the attributes of one of the compost types recommended by the Minnesota Department of Transportation. The fourth step is final grading. It is important to have a level surface for your turf area. A starter fertilizer should be applied prior to seeding. A good starter fertilizer should provide adequate amounts of phosphorus. The final step is to apply the seed. There are a number of ways that a site can be prepped prior to seeding. Depending on the site, you may need to work up the soil with a plow, disc, harrow, or tiller, and then use a drag or rake to smooth the surface. The type of preparation that is done will depend on equipment availability. Ideally, the site should be smooth and free of major debris such as large sticks and rocks. It is a good idea to get a soil test for a site prior to seeding so that the proper starter fertilizer and liming material can be applied if necessary. Starter fertilizer should be high in phosphorus as this nutrient is very important for newly germinating seedlings. Lime is used to raise the pH of acidic soils as determined by a soil test. A pH of 6.0 to 7.0 is ideal for turf in Minnesota. Whenever applying fertilizers or liming materials, it is very important to calibrate the spreader you use and perform careful calculations so that you do not over or under apply. This picture shows an applicator measuring the width of a drop spreader before doing calibration calculations. You will learn more about proper fertilization of roadside sites in a future module. After the soil is prepared, the seed should be dropped evenly over the surface. A drop spreader, as shown in this image, is preferable. Seed should be planted in the top quarter inch. Seed should then be very lightly worked into the soil. If the surface is still bumpy or seed-to-soil contact is poor, the area should be rolled. Next, any mulch or covers would be applied if needed, and the area would be irrigated. If there is not available irrigation, or if erosion is a problem, such as on a slope, mulch should be applied prior to initial irrigation. There are a number of different mulching options, but the primary concern is using a material that will allow for good water and air movement into the seed bed while helping retain moisture. This picture shows a germination blanket that includes a biodegradable netting that helps keep it in place more securely during the grow-in period. The type of mulch used on a roadside seeding will depend on a number of factors, including cost and the type of seed being used. For instance, if the mixture contains a number of quickly germinating species, the need for erosion control will not be as great. Mulch is also critical when seeding at a time of year when drought and heat stress are a concern. The mulch can help hold valuable moisture for young grass seedlings. Many mulches used on a roadside are biodegradable, in which case removal costs do not need to be a consideration. Here is a picture of germinating seedlings emerging through a biodegradable germination blanket. This blanket is biodegradable and is providing an excellent environment in which the seedlings can grow. After the seed has germinated and starts to grow, it needs to be kept moist so that adequate moisture is available for plant growth. This can be difficult on a roadside, but can be accomplished by either setting up an above-ground irrigation runoff of a fire hydrant if available, or through careful watering using a water truck. Because seedlings have very limited roots, watering with a small amount of water but at frequent intervals will be necessary. More information on irrigation of new seedlings will be covered in Module 7. Mowing should not be done until seedlings are about 3 inches tall and only 1/3 of the grass length should be removed at a time. Traffic should be kept off the new turf until the seedlings are well established. Fertilizer should be applied 2 to 3 weeks after germination. The new seeding can also be rolled to level the surface. This may be useful on higher impact areas such as in front of a commercial district. There are 3 other seeding methods that can be used on roadsides: hydroseeding, overseeding, and dormant seeding. Of these, hydroseeding, as shown in this photo, is the most common for new roadside seedings. The hydroseeding method involves spraying a mixture of seed, mulch, and fertilizer onto the soil surface. In this process, grass seed is combined, tank mixed, with a wet pulp-like material such that it can be thinly sprayed onto a soil surface. Hydroseeding helps keep the seed moist, which is ideal for germination and seedling growth. The mulch material is biodegradable and simply decomposes into the soil over time. Hydroseeding can be especially useful for slopes and/or difficult to reach areas with conventional seeding equipment or methods. Frequently, amendments such as growth stimulants and nutrients are added to the mixture to further improve conditions for germination and seedling growth. Even with those benefits, the best results for hydroseeding are usually obtained where the mulch can be kept damp and not allowed to dry out excessively. When using hydroseeding for a roadside, be sure that the operator has used the appropriate seed mixture for the site. Overseeding refers to the application of seed into an existing turf or other vegetation. This is typically done using machinery such as a slit seeder. Sometimes the existing vegetation is killed off first to reduce plant competition with emerging seedlings. This picture shows seedlings that have germinated after a slit seeding operation. Notice how the operator seeded in 2 directions to get better coverage. Even though these seedlings are planted in rows, they will fill in bare spots quickly during the establishment period. Dormant seeding is done in the late fall, after temperatures are too low for seed germination and before the ground freezes. Oftentimes, a mulch or cover is used to protect the seed and increase soil warming in the spring. The seed will remain dormant until spring when weather is conducive for germination. This will give the turfgrass a jump on most spring weeds. Dormant seeding can be very effective in cold climates and could be a great option when a road project isn't completed until soil temperatures are below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. As you can see, there are a number of factors to consider when establishing a roadside from seed. These include species selection, seeding rate, and when to seed. Once these decisions are made, the various steps in seeding can be performed. In addition, there are other few seeding methods, such as hydroseeding, overseeding, and dormant seeding, that can be considered in establishing a roadside site. Thank you for viewing Module 4 on seeding roadsides. In the next module, you will learn more about sodding roadsides.